Hey, what's up, allies? So we got notified in Southern California that the next 4 days we're in their like earthquake watch, prepare for earthquakes. So I thought I would make a quick video, your late notice earthquake preparedness kit. Like, what could you do if you only had like 24 hours to prepare? What are the main things you should get? And basically it comes down to about 5 or so items. The first, and again, like just about all disasters, earthquakes and preparing for earthquakes, very similar to what you do for other serious types of natural disasters or man-made disasters, whatever. The first thing is going to be water. You're going to need water because things can happen with the plumbing. You can get tainted water, get all kinds of things happen that's bad for the water supply. 2, you're going to need food. But understand, power and gas can often get shut off during an earthquake. Your mains could break. A lot of different earthquake houses around here in California have a ball bearing that will actually fall into the hole to prevent the gas from coming out. So you're either going to have your own stove top or portable stove, like camping stove. So you're going to need the fuel for that, and then you're going to have the appropriate food for whatever type of situation you are in. If you don't have a heat source, you're going to want to go with things that you can eat without heat. 24 hours is not really a lot of time, particularly if you're without power or water or fuel of some kind. So aim for about a week's worth of food. 3, you're gonna definitely want to have a first aid kit that is kind of well appointed, a family-sized first aid kit, if you will. And there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind. People get hurt when things either fall on them or they step on something that's broken during an earthquake. So you're going to want to have lots of ice packs or chemical reaction ice packs, and you're going to want to have things for lacerations, closing lacerations of feet, broken glass that comes and cuts you, that kind of stuff. That's what you want to have on hand. 4, then there's just the random preparedness that you do around your house. Earthquake preparing the home. For keeping things like your cupboards closed, taking heavy things off of high surfaces. If there are things called museum wax, which you can buy that'll help things stick to the tops of things. It works really well, but if you don't want to chance it, just bring it down. And then 5, and this is kind of a big one, particularly after an earthquake or an event, is you need to have a comms plan. And this is not, people who normally watch my videos know I do a lot of ham radio videos. This is not a ham radio comms plan. This is know the common forms of communication of your loved ones and know the best way to get in touch with them. When the networks go down and the landlines are backlogged, one of the best things you can do to get your message out to your family or friends is text message. It uses a very low bit of bandwidth, and it's very easy to get a lot of text messages out even when the network is almost completely destroyed. So make sure you understand both the phone numbers if they have a landline, but most importantly the cell phone numbers so you can send them text messages. Okay, so a quick trip to Walmart was all it took. We got some equipment here, some ingredients to make your own earthquake kit for your car or your home. The only problem with this is it's only good for a couple days worth of food. I would expect that you'd get more dry goods like beans or rice or something like that if you had a prolonged situation. Ideally, a week's worth of food is what you want for a severe earthquake because you could be without, like I mentioned, gas or water. Speaking of water, object number 1, get yourself a case of water. You can leave that in the trunk of your car. It's perfect, it's water, it's fine. We also got this little plastic tote. It's clear. Clear's not perfectly good for your car because, again, the sun and the heat will make these food items spoil faster. Darker is better, but clear is helpful so you can see it at a glance and you know what's in it. So Leia likes these little star-kissed food items. They're great because they're relatively shelf-stable and they're relatively compact. I know the packaging is kind of thick and bulky. Think of it as kind of like an MRE meal kind of thing.
Well, Ben will eat it.
And Ben will eat it. Box of granola bars, good energy, although grains, I'm not that big a fan of grains, but also Ben, our son, he will eat it. A couple more of these tuna lunches to go. And Leia likes these canned chunky soups. They're the pull top variety, so you don't need a can opener. You can eat these cold or warm. You can eat these warm in a microwave or stovetop. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. We've got split pea and ham. This one is baked potato and cheddar bacon bits. Lots of heavy fats and calories in here. Split pea and ham fats are good for this type of situation. And another baked potato, cheddar. A Armour Vienna sausage. Oh, these are barbecue flavored. I didn't realize we got barbecue flavored. Ooh, fancy.
I didn't do that.
Yeah. These are also just protein, nutrients, lots of fat. Only 3 grams of fat. Not bad. But again, inexpensive, and they're very shelf stable. Shelf stable is what you want. You're not heavy living or high living, and you're definitely not in a situation where you're having the ideal foods. There are situations where you could, maybe if you freeze-dried foods or you had dried foods, but if you're in your car, you're not going to have the equipment or the ability to warm up food such as this, or dried food, so you might as well just go with something shelf-stable. Last thing that is in the plastic tote, which is on the top of the plastic tote, is a hand crank flashlight. This one was also available at Walmart, relatively inexpensive. The reason it's inexpensive is because it's not particularly great as a flashlight or as a radio. It does have a red light, which I like though. So the radio, guys, you understand I love radios. I'm nuts about radios. And why am I okay with this little compact radio? Because it's gonna do the job of you driving in your car and getting information you need from one of the local AM stations. In Southern California, we don't need a crazy powerful radio or a really nice AM radio to get stations because they boom out everywhere.
Kept pace with the number of jobs created. He says the biggest problem is that it's difficult for builders to get developments going.
The dumb thing about my car is that if the power goes out on it, I lose access to the radio because it requires a security code.
Yeah, so if power dies in Leia's car, and like the battery dies or anything like that, you lose the radio code, so it won't function as a radio. You won't have simple information like an AM radio. So, very important to have. Now, we'll go through the first aid. We added to our Leia's first aid kit by adding a cold compress. This is the chemical reaction kind. I believe it has there's 2 packs in here. I'm not gonna open it up, this is already ripped. We'll probably tape this up and put it back in the bag. But it's one of the ones where you break it open and the water mixes, creating a reaction and cold. This is good for if somebody gets bonked on the head or they fall when they're scrambling around and things are shaking. By the way, when things are shaking, don't run like in a direction to get away from the shaking. Just find cover and stay in cover until the shaking stops. But if you do get bumped or hurt yourself, cold compress is nice to have. Now, this first aid kit, we put this together at a Target sometime this year. There's all kinds of goodies in here. I will link to the video in the description so you can check this out if you are so interested. I think Target runs this promotion every once in a while. You buy, I think, 3 or 4 items of first aid and you get the tote for free. They come in a couple of different options, but I obviously recommend the one with the red cross on it so that you know it's first aid. Lastly, what's the most common thing people get hurt in an earthquake? When things fall over or something falls, it's glass, and they step on it. So what do I recommend? Well, a couple of things. These clips here, these are a bit more expensive than the regular plastic clips that over time get weaker and weaker. These are spring loaded, so the spring is going to maintain that tension, and it's basically just a cabinet lock. This is also good if you have kids, so we needed to do this anyway, and now the construction's done, we can get started on that. And then lastly, this is really good stuff, guys. I can't recommend this stuff high enough. This is called museum wax. Museum wax. And it's like a very hard wax in the container. And you actually have to use this little wooden biscuit. It comes with a biscuit. I didn't add this. This comes with a biscuit. And you go in there and you scrape out a piece of it, you take it, and you rub it between your fingers, and it sticks to everything. So you put a couple little pea-sized dollops on heavy things and kind of press it down onto your table or shelf or whatever it is, and it'll stay. They're pretty cool. So check this out. I'll post a link to this in the in the bottom in the descriptions. You can check this out. Most of these items you can get at your local Walmart. I'll recommend a couple of radios for those of you that have a bit more money to spend. This is an inexpensive radio. This is available on Amazon, but I also recommend some nicer ones stepping up to what I think is some really great radios, but you're talking almost $100 for solar, crank, and light, and weather radio, and a bunch of other cool stuff. But that's not for everybody. This is something easy for my wife to use. She doesn't need the whole solar panel, crank powered goodness. Let me show you how it all goes back into this tote here. So this tote's a little off-centered bias. So we like to put the cans in the bottom. Like that. There's no particular reason why we left the granola bars in the box other than to keep them from getting crushed. In fact, I'm already crushing the box right now. Okay, and then the radio goes right inside. Then you take this, if you're so inclined, take a wrap of duct tape around the outside, or maybe one that goes over the top, and put that in your car. Maybe throw a blanket over the top of it. You should put a blanket in your car anyway. You don't know when you're gonna need something like that. So yeah, that's all you pretty much need. Very quick, very inexpensive. This took all like 30 minutes to put this whole thing together. And then you have peace of mind. Maybe less than $100. You can go cheaper if you want. Get a cheaper container. Don't worry about the radio. If you're not worried about such a thing, I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, you have options. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and please hang on tight to your loved ones when the earth starts shaking.